Aloha, everybody. I'll give you a minute to jump in for everyone to join us. Beautiful Monday morning in Hawaii. I'm on lockdown, and last week the government officially declared Hawaii quarantined. Right, so if you're going to fly to the state of Hawaii, you have to go under a 14-day quarantine for visitors and residents. So most tourists will not come to Hawaii. So I just want to make a video to see how you guys are doing and to let everyone know that I'm awesome here in the jungle and on lockdown at my homestead in Hawaii. So last week, the governor issued a quarantine order for the islands of Hawaii. And that's pretty serious. We're at a stay-at-home order. And I've been under a stay-at-home order 2 years ago during the lava eruption, and that was quite interesting. There was volcanic gases in the air, acid rain, uh, shards of glass raining from the sky, and we were under a stay-at-home order. And there was a checkpoint at the beginning of the neighborhood, and we were concerned of course, looting. And that was a pretty intense time. I think a lot of my viewers will remember that time. I was doing videos, probably not enough videos, of the stay at home order that happened about 2 years ago. So I'm used to this. Let's see. Yeah, it's just a normal kind of day for me. I've been like this for going on a couple weeks now. I don't go to the grocery store as often. I probably go, every 5 days or every week or so. And that's kind of interesting to see how businesses have shut down. And I just wanted to thank all the first responders and everyone working at the hospitals and the ER. Now, I I'm lucky. I live on a homestead, so I can grow my own food and just work and exercise on my property. So that's really nice. But I know some of you are probably trapped in a small box. Basically, I've lived in apartments before in big cities. I know how that is. I've lived in Berkeley and San Francisco and LA, and I haven't lived in a city like New York. I couldn't imagine that must be really tough. New York, just being trapped in a box like that in a big city with no trees. Aloha from Manchester in the UK. Nice. Aloha. I believe it's Dr. Campbell. Is that the doctor from the UK? He's a YouTuber. Been watching a couple of his videos. He's a really smart person. I like Dr. Campbell. He's been doing quite a few videos every day, basically, on update on the situation that's happening right now with the coronavirus. And yes, I, my life has changed, as I'm pretty sure all of you are probably experiencing the same thing. Billions of people are on lockdown, and Hawaii is, we're kind of freaking out here. We don't have that many cases as of yesterday. I'm pretty sure the numbers are going to change today. As of yesterday, we have a little under 200 confirmed Rona cases and 0 deaths. So that's very encouraging. 12 individuals hospitalized in the state of Hawaii. And I know today those numbers are absolutely going to change. We're going to have a lot more cases. We're going to see a lot more hospitalization, and but it's very encouraging to see the country come together, and it's just amazing. yes, Hawaii does rely on tourism, and that's something that we have to change after this pandemic because we just can't rely on tourism anymore. I believe the tourist industry will be hit really hard because, especially here, because you have to fly on an airplane to get here. So the only way you're really going to be, a tourist here is flying on an airplane, and not too many people are going to do that. And cruise ships are out. Yes, you could take a cruise ship, but I don't know who's ever going to get on a cruise ship in like 20 years. No one's going to be doing. I shouldn't say no one, but I definitely did not like cruise ships. I've never been on a cruise ship. But from now on, I'm never really going to go on a cruise ship. I thought about going on some cruise ships in like the Bahamas or, the Caribbean. Uh, but they're like, a band or a group of bands will do a cruise ship and you can, go see like a plethora of talented musicians while you're on a cruise ship. And this will be usually for younger people and whatnot. But I'm almost positive in the next couple of years, no one's going to be going on cruise ships. That industry is going to be hit real hard. And so if we're living in Hawaii and your job relies on tourism directly or indirectly, we're going to see a huge hit. And I'm just looking at the future. I know we have to, take care of this problem right now. And then after that is done, or the first wave is over, because there's probably going to be a second or third wave. Yeah, some of the comments. Yeah, the Big Island. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in Hawaii that, people are really mad at the governor. People are really mad at the mayors, and people are angry and protesting. Like a lot of the citizens want the airport shut down, but they don't realize that that's actually illegal. Like, look at New York, right? The president said we're thinking about quarantining New York, and the governor goes, no, that's not legal, because guess what? It's extremely tough for the federal government to do a hard quarantine of a place. It's so illegal. There's so many laws against that. We have a lot of laws to protect freedom of movement, freedom of travel. So that's just, kind of, it's like the crazy thinking, just lock us down, shut down the airports, no one in or out. And it's like, yeah, you're violating quite a few human rights, by doing that, if that was to happen. And the government's not going to do that unless it gets really, really tough. Uh, Honoka'a is not as bad as Hilo, and the Kona side is getting worse. We're talking about the Big Island, Hawaii. Those are areas on the Big Island, Hawaii. Now, or Hawaii, if you want to just call it Hawaii. If you hear somebody say Hawaii, they're probably talking about one island, and that's the Big Island. The other islands they have different names, like Maui or Oahu and Molokai. I don't think Molokai has any cases, which is amazing, right? They're isolated. Let's see what's going on in the comment sections. Yes, JP, I would never take a cruise ship ever again. Taz, we're in our town, has TP, toilet paper, and other things. You can only buy one package. Yes, there's limitations on how much toilet paper you can buy and hand sanitizer, which is insane. Okay, so let's see what's going on. Molly says, man, lots of people dying of the COVID. I think it's possible that this lockdown and what's happening, with the pandemic, there is a possibility that the reaction of the countries, which is necessary, we have to lock down to protect the spread, or contain the spread as much as possible. But the lockdowns will have dire consequences. For instance, there's countries around the world that their government won't be giving them a stimulus check or a relief check. And there's a lot of Americans that won't get this relief check or stimulus check because they don't pay taxes or they work under the table. So I'm almost positive that a requirement to get this stimulus check or this relief check that everyone's talking about is you have to have an older tax return, right? Like from last year, you have to have paid your taxes or at least filed your taxes from 2018. So this is going to be tough. And I started realizing this uh, when my friends were talking about, what their government is doing in, let's say Thailand or, Burma or Cambodia. There's going to be a lot of death. There's already rioting and people are starving in Italy. I saw a couple news articles, detailing that, they've been on lockdown for I think like 3 weeks now. So without a paycheck and without a stimulus check, now people are starting to riot. They're starting to, break down, doors, break into grocery stores and stuff like that. Yeah, Hawaii has under 200 deaths or under 200 cases and 0 deaths so far. I know those numbers will change today. They usually update them at the middle of the day. They give you an update. Yeah, so we kind of dodged a bullet, I guess, or you know, uh, hopefully it doesn't hit us too hard. We do have a quarantine, so if you fly here, you will go under a self quarantine of 14 days. I don't know how strict they're going to enforce that, but I know certain islands are starting to do checkpoints. So Kauai started checkpoints, starting to set up checkpoints and to ask you where you're going. Are you going to the grocery store? Are you going to get medicine? Or are you going to do that? And I guess you can always say that you're going to the grocery store, but if the police keep seeing you all the time, they might give you a fine. And I know the fine in Hawaii for breaking the stay-at-home order is $1,000 or no, I'm sorry, $5,000 or up to 1 year in jail. So that's pretty harsh. My buddy Jeremiah, he violated the stay-at-home order, and his ticket was a little under $300. So they didn't slap the $5,000 ticket on him. 2 years ago during the lava eruption, I want to make that clear. He was out filming during the lava eruption, and there was a stay-at-home order very similar to now, and he got a ticket. Uh, I believe that's what he got the ticket for, or because maybe he was in a park that was closed. I'm not sure, but anyhow, I know people that have violated the stay-at-home order uh, that we were under during the 2018 eruption, and they actually got ticketed. But I know here it's $5,000 fine, up to a $5,000 fine, and a year in jail. So, and if you study like the Spanish flu, because I've been doing a lot of studying in the past couple months on pandemics and diseases, and if you study about the Spanish flu, people actually got shot for not wearing a mask, right? There was an order, the authorities were saying you've got to wear a mask, and the person got shot, and that was intense, I guess, an intense time. So even though the masks back then are just cloth, and cloth masks won't really protect anybody because they're too porous and stuff can go right through them. So it really didn't help during the Spanish flu. Now we've got masks. They're a lot better, like the N95 masks that everyone should be using. Yeah, and the stimulus check as well. Back to that topic, I see people are talking about it in the comment section. If you make under $100,000, you're gonna supposedly get some kind of stimulus check. But I know a lot of people, like farmers that sell their produce. They don't really pay taxes. I mean, they pay property taxes, and they pay state taxes and gas tax and grocery tax, whatnot, but they don't pay income tax. So I'm assuming those people that don't pay income tax that work under the table are not going to get a stimulus check or a relief check. So that's another, reason why we have to look at the, consequences of everything we do. If we didn't have a lockdown, there'd be, possibly millions of people that die in America, right, from this disease because everyone's just running around, right? Well, if we do lock down, what is that? Are people going to starve to death? Are people going to, run out of money? They're, this can be a problem. How long does this lockdown go for? Determines how poor the poorer get. Because really, the only people that are going to really suffer from a lockdown are the poor people, right? Poor people are going to really suffer from this. And the longer the lockdown goes on, the poorer are going to get. So it's just kind of insane to see, whatever you do, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? If you have a lockdown, you're going to save lives from the disease and from the virus, and then you could possibly cause, mass starvation, and that's a big problem. So a lot of people say that, in America we live paycheck to paycheck. A lot of individuals, I guess the vast majority of people in Hawaii live paycheck to paycheck. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have a savings, and you're going to be hurting real hard, here soon. And that's already, like I said, that's already happening in Italy. They're having riots, and people, have to feed their children. If you're a father, you're going to go break into a grocery store to feed your child. That's very possible. Yeah, so people are talking about the Dow in the Dow Jones is up at the moment. Yes, I know. Our economy is starting to recover. We had the biggest drop in the history of the Dow, and then now we've had the biggest uptick in the history of the, the Dow. So it's been this crazy roller coaster. Aloha for those that are joining us. Um, yeah, restaurants are hit really hard. I read an article about a bakery on Oahu, that's in Hawaii, that just opened up basically. So they took out all these loans in February. They just opened their doors, and this happened. Right. So that's really tough. And I don't know if any one of you, I imagine a lot of you actually have worked in the restaurant business. It's tough. It's really tough. Okay, so what do we have here? Doom Chaser 1. Don't be fooled. They're diluting the dollar to stimulate the market. Trillions of bailouts. Yeah, this this is just like the worst situation. The bailout. I mean, that's horrible, right? That's wow. It's amazing. I saw the crash, 2008 housing, and Dow Jones went down and housing market went down. So this is kind of insane. And the whole thing about now I'm under a new stay-at-home order. So in 2018 I was under a stay-at-home order. Now I'm under another one. So this is quite amazing. We live in very interesting times. Okay, yes. People are talking about China. When this is all done, China has to be held accountable. During the SARS epidemic, after that happened, and I guess during it, they shut down the wet markets and they said that they're going to ban wet markets. Well, guess what? They didn't ban wet markets. So I think the Chinese government, the CCP, should be held accountable, and the World Health Organization should be held accountable to some extent. they blundered this. China has been lying the whole time. It's obvious. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to determine that the numbers in China are just not accurate. They hid that it was a human, that it was possible for to transfer to human. So many blunders. The main one is the CCP promised after the 2003 SARS epidemic that, or actually, I guess that was a pandemic. I think SARS was a pandemic. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. But it was a horrible virus that went around, killed lots of people. And after that, the Chinese government promised to ban wet markets. Well, they didn't ban them. So, yeah, I know there's conspiracy theories going around that it was released from a lab or that it was, it's a bioweapon. Okay, yeah, there's always a possibility. I'm not going to say 100% that it wasn't one of those things, but I'm going to say almost 100% that it was from the wet markets. So that's almost, you know, 100%. Definitely came from a wet market, in my opinion. Because I mean, all these different diseases, even before modern science, we know that these viruses came from these types of wet markets. The bubonic plague came from China, right? Probably from a wet market somehow. So this has to be dealt with. We have to make sure China is held accountable. You know, the wet markets are human rights violation or animal rights violations just in having them open and the conditions. I don't know if you guys have seen a wet market. It's not pretty. It's really dirty. It's a horrible place. Animals are tortured basically. And and then now it's kind of a human rights violation. These wet markets created this problem and the Chinese government didn't ban them 15 years ago when they should have. Or actually, it's a little bit longer, 17 years ago where they should have. So this is, a huge problem. And to see our president talking the way he is, wow. I don't know if you guys watching his videos or his press conferences because I got quite a bit of time. There's only so much homesteading I can do, and it's been raining for the past couple days, so I've been watching a lot of the press conferences and whatnot. And just in the past couple days, he's been talking about ammunition. Like, we have plenty of ammunition. Before I became president, we didn't have any ammunition, and this general came to me and said, "We don't have any ammunition, sir. We didn't have any." I can't do this. I can't do the impression, but you get it, right? And so now he's talking like he's kind of, you know, signaling, right? He's kind of signaling to China, hey, we got a lot of ammunition, and somebody should be held accountable. So that's another worry, you know. But I don't think we're gonna go to war with China. I doubt that. There's too much money to be made in China and America having a good relationship. But we definitely have to decouple and get away from uh, China. We have to bring our manufacturing back. I know in Australia, China sent a bunch of defective health equipment or medical supplies, right? So I believe it was masks or tests were faulty or something like that. And I know in Europe they're having the same problem. The tests are faulty from China, and it seems like China is kind of intentionally sending other countries faulty medical supplies and masks and tests and ventilators. So that's kind of concerning. Someone has to be held accountable for this. I think there's definitely, you know, the World Health Organization shares a little bit of blame because they were just taking the numbers and taking the advice from China, and we all know that China is not forthcoming with proper information. They lie about stuff. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right here. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I want to end on a good note. I'm going to talk about something good and wrap it up. Now everyone can meditate and exercise more and maybe read a book while you're quarantined or you're under a stay-at-home order. That's a positive. We can watch lots of, comedy stand-ups. I've been watching lots of comedy, lots of different stand-up comedians. Lots of Bill Hicks. From back in the day, lots of Carlin. Lots of Richard Pryor. The classics, right? I've been going back and watching some of those old, when we were innocent, those old videos. So I suggest you guys watch quite a few, YouTube videos of these old stand-up comedians, that aren't talking about the COVID-19. Oh, I shouldn't even say it because the video will probably get demonetized. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up right here. Please give it a thumbs up. I hope you're all safe. Again, I want to thank the first responders. I want to thank the nurses, doctors, everyone that's involved in this medical crisis, trying to help. I want to thank my viewers for watching. You guys are awesome. Yes, stay home. Follow the advice that your government is giving you, because at the end of the day, this is a problem. And, I'm not for, giving up my civil liberties and my rights, but I think for now, for a little while, you can make the sacrifice. And then after this is all calmed down, we can get back to normal, and we are going to have an awesome 2020. We're going to recover. America is going to come together and throw aside our differences, and we're going to be an awesome country again after this virus is subsided and we get a vaccine. And it's time. How many instruments? To answer your question, I play a little ukulele. I'm probably going to pick it up soon, back up. And okay, that's the end of the video. See you guys. Aloha.